I started dreaming, not necessarily about playing the NFL, but being a great running back when I saw Barry Sanders. That was my moment. And I would go out in the backyard and throw out Coke cans and juke in between them, trying to do all these amazing moves, not knowing that it was in slow motion.
Mine was growing up down in Beaumont, Texas. Grew up in a large family. We had 3 brothers, 3 sisters, so 7 of us. And for me, every Sunday was watching the Cowboys play on Sundays and watching football with my dad. And every Sunday, the house got quiet. You had to be quiet during the games, start watching football. And football was king down there. And everybody down there would want to watch the Cowboys after the game. All the neighborhood kids would go to the front yard, and we was all, Roger Staubach's, Cabot Hill, and everything. And that's kind of when the bug hit me, is that, watching these great Cowboy teams. Down in Beaumont, the first, when you're born, if you're a boy, the first thing they put in your crib is a football and a baseball. That's just the way it was down there. Football rule down there in Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah. I did actually go to Northwestern and play football, and I would say that would be when my dreams of the NFL sort of started to come real, equating what I was doing there, playing defensive lineman at Northwestern, and seeing some of the guys who were doing it on Sundays, and the fact I was doing it on Saturdays, it became real. I'd always had dreams of being an athlete, but I wasn't too lofty about going to the NFL, I would say. Until I got to college, then it was like, okay, this is something I can do for a reality and just work towards it. Typically, Northwestern was the doormat of the Big Ten for so many years. Right. I mean, in reality, I would just say the way it worked out, when I was introduced to the school, they had just had a big run in the Big Ten, right. And they had gone to the Rose Bowl the year before, so there was a lot of publicity around the school, right. And it was a good school academically, so everything just sort of hit at the right time from when I graduated. So,
well, for me, I was gonna go into the Air Force and wanted to be a pilot. My dad was in the Air Force, and so early on, I knew if I wasn't gonna get a football scholarship, I would go into the Air Force and go in the military route. My dad was in the military, my oldest brother was in the Army, so we had some military family members in my family. So, and then to go back to what you asked earlier about when I was in high school, I had a picture of Drew Pearson and Lynn Swan, the 88 guys, and I wanted to be a wide receiver, and so I would go out there every Sunday and imitate those guys, catching the balls, making the moves. So I said, man, I know I want to play in the NFL, and then everybody said, you're too little to play in the NFL. And but dreams do come true. I mean, I was able to become a good high school football player, and so I would go out there and catch all kind of little balls and be like Lynn Swan and Drew Pearson, and so those things kind of came into fruition with me, was being a football player.
I'm a father of an NFL player. I've had a dream. I would dream about it, but I am living my dream of who I am now. I'm a minister. That's what I do. But I'm also a coach, and I remember having the Dallas Cowboy pajamas that I used to wear when I was a little small kid, and I loved the Cowboys. So I began to see my dream when I saw my middle son go out as an 8 years old. And he went out to the Little League. I remember driving Justin out there, and I'm looking at him, and he said he wanted to play. So I took him out there, and I'm the type of father that I would give him to the coach. So I gave him to the coach. So then they went through this drill. There was this running back, you had the linebacker, and then they would give the running back the ball. So this is Justin's first time ever out there. He's smaller than everybody else, a little small. So then in this big linebacker, I'm like, okay, well, this is gonna be interesting. So he hands him the ball. Justin runs it. So then the next thing I see Justin is flying in the reverse way through the air, because this big guy just annihilated him. And I'm saying, this is gonna be interesting. Then the coach said, do it again. Well, this time, the guy never saw him, and he was gone. And from that point on, I began to see my dream a part of my team, which was my son. So being able to see that at a 7-year-old from a father's perspective is that I saw it. I saw all of that then. Being the visionary that I believe God has made me to be, I saw all of that right then. At 7 years old, I said, okay, that's the one right there.
For me, it was my high school coach. He would always give me $20 every 6 weeks to make the AB honor roll. But he would instill in me and say, Byron, you're gonna be a good athlete because you were coachable, you listen, and so usually when I go and talk to some young kids, students, I will always mention my coach because he was a difference maker in my life.
Yeah, I think also similar with Byron, my high school coach had maybe the most profound effect on my athletic career. I just remember like yesterday, he said, if you don't remember anything else, always remember the 2% rule. And that is by every day, every time, every opportunity you get a chance to come out here and practice or anything, just improve by 2% each day. And over time, that will add up and that will build, and pretty soon you will start to achieve your goals. His name was Bob Slater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was your high school coach?
Charlie Reed.
Charlie Reed. Okay.
The fear of being cut. Well, you know what? That's the great thing about our sport is that I think that actually conditions us to be so gritty when it comes to regular life, to where we're just so tough. We don't really have I personally don't have a fear of failing, because failure makes you better at the end of the day. So, I can only reflect back to my time. I never really had a fear of being cut because I believed in my ability so much, and I felt that I put so much practice and just perfecting my craft. And for a long time, when I went into, because I got drafted as a junior in college, so I left really early, and I was a kid. And I look back at my photos from my rookie year, and I'm like, God, I was a little boy. I was a little boy playing with men, and I never played the sport. I be honest, I never played for money, and I don't think a lot of the great ones and the guys that play for a long time, they don't play for the money. When you get to that point, then you start to kind of end your career. And then I was actually talking to a coworker the other day, and I was like, if anything, passion is the key to success, whatever you're doing. And when we're talking about young kids developing, his son at 7 years old obviously had the passion for the sport before he even knew he was going to be something. Mm-hmm. When I was in that backyard, juking between cans and doing this thing, I was not dreaming of being in the NFL. I was dreaming of being Barry Sanders.
Right.
And that's different than being in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And when I got to college, I was still on this. I would watch Barry Sanders highlight before every game. Wow. Just because, and I would slow his tape down to see the moves he would make, the moves that he would make. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All these little rhythmic moves and that's what football is. It's rhythm. At the end of the day, it's all rhythm. So when I got to the league, I never really thought about the check would come in. It would just come. I just was so focused on being the best running back that I could be and being considered a great running back, not a Hall of Fame or anything, but just being respected by your peers. When I was in college, you want to know how Ryan Moats came to be? I got my opportunity because the starting running back got into a fight. Hanging out, and Ryan Moats didn't hang out, and they said, Ryan, you're starting today. And I never gave it back. So we all live that moment. It's not like this one guy has all these negative things happen to him. We all, and it's just how you get through that. Do you give up? You gotta think about it. At practice, we've all been there. And I've had this happen maybe 3 times in my career. At practice, I'm running gashes, I'm dying, and you always have that thought come in your head, what am I doing? Like, why are you doing this? I was in a game against the Raiders the biggest guy in the NFL at the time. He's almost 400 pounds. I had to get a first down. It was 1 yard. I had nowhere else to go, but hit him right in the mouth. And I just gave him all 5'8", 215 pounds. I gave it all to him, and I got up. The concussion was so violent to where he busted my nose. It didn't touch my nose, but the blow was so violent to where it just busted everything up. And I got up, and I was like, Ryan, what are you doing? That was a car wreck, you know? But the passion for the ability to get that 1 yard was what I was
Wait a minute.
fighting for.
Was it a first down?
It was a first down.
Hey.
Now, if it wasn't a first down, I would have quit. No.
If it wasn't the first down, he wouldn't have told you about it.
That's good, Ryan. That's good.
But I want to say this. I had some good role models, but like Cliff Odom, we both went to University of Texas at Arlington, and it wasn't a big name school or college. But what really inspired me when the pro scouts started coming around and started looking at athletes and the talent that was there. And Cliff, of course, was a great linebacker, and so that gave me the confidence, and not only that, but the perseverance to say there might be a chance that I could play in the National Football League. And so during my sophomore year, when all the scouts would come through and look at these players and they would say, oh, go out there and run the 40 and do your testing. And then that's where I became, I got on the prospect list. And I think sometimes perseverance is one of the biggest things because you know there's going to be a combination of injuries, combination of things that might not go your way, the coaches might not be playing you. It's a whole lot of combination of things that you know, but when you get to a certain point in your life to where you say, well, I think I can compete, and I think that I can. The game is really fast and speed up, and that's the difference. That's why a lot of college guys can't go to the next level because the difference of the speed and the maturity and your expectation is completely different. Then a lot of guys think they can play in the NFL, but once you get to pass these tests, it's a test that you have to pass. And then the talent pool is definitely what separates a lot of players.
I had a coach in college that cussed me out every day, but I knew he loved me.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's very weird. He I don't know what it is. This guy cussed me out every single day, but I knew that he cared about me somehow. I just knew that he wanted me to be great. And it said if he didn't talk to you, then that's when you needed to be wary. Now I know that's kind of weird in the normal world, but in the football world, you have coaches that kind of like have their own way of loving you in a sense where it's not negative to your being. So I would say it just depends. Every coach is pretty boisterous at some point.
Walter definitely one of the best running backs that ever come through. And as far as one of the coaches, I had a chance to play for him. So I got to shoot a guy that knew the game in and out, that was well respected around the league and by the officials. 9 out of 10 times, if on a call, an official make a call against him, he was gonna let that official know about it, and then next call he's gonna make a call. And that's what I would say.
What do you guys think? Greatest player?
Well, you already know who I'm going to say.
He said he's Barry
Sanders.
It's good. I mean, hey,
I'm gonna be Jim Brown. I mean,
yeah.
just to be able. I mean, I'm 55 years old. I'm looking at it. When I was young and small, I loved the Cowboys, but I'm looking at this Jim Brown guy and looking at the power, the speed, the tenacity, the ability, the talent, the know-how, and not only inside the football realm of things, but he was able to take all of that I just named outside of the football realm and become an actor and advocate and do all these other things. What he did inside of the football realm, he also did it outside of the football realm. So that brought a completeness that I saw.
And that's why that's the reason that I choose your era as the best era of our sport, because for myself, like I said again, I was never an NFL fan. I never would call myself a fan, but I was a lover of running back position. That's just what I love.
I ran track. I was a world-class sprinter. I ran a 10-1 300 meters and averaged 20-some points in basketball in high school. So I could have received a football, track, or basketball scholarship.
And why did you take football?
I was looking at the odds of making it to the league. I didn't, back in that day, you didn't get paid for running on the track, but I definitely had a passion for, I love basketball, but I knew I wasn't going to be taller than 6'3", and I didn't put the time in. But football was a game that I could probably just slowly develop as an athlete, and so I just thought that it was my passion. I just love competing, and if somebody knocked me down, if I run by a guy and say, I'm going to run by you, ain't nothing you can do. Because you can talk noise on the football field, and that's what I love. I love talking noise.
Really?
Barry Sanders is a different story because he walked away from the game on his own terms. And that's why I really respect that. And he said it's time for me to start my new chapter, not based off of the game. And where we always say my motto is, I am more than an athlete. I am legendary, because you have the power to do what you want to do in your own life. You're not just an athlete. And I think that's the reason that I weigh towards Jim Browns and people like that, because they were more. They had to be activists in a time where African Americans were not being treated the best, especially playing a sport, having to sleep on buses and sleep at all these different things that these guys had to do. People like John Wooden and all these guys that really, really sacrificed for the sport that we got to play freely. With no discrimination.
Right.
So we can never forget that. We always want to talk about the great things about our sport, but there are some things in this sport that we're not.
I want to say, when I got drafted, it was only 28 teams. So that was less people playing the NFL. And then now, of course, it's 32 teams. So, and now you got the free agent. Back then it wasn't a free agent. I mean, they control you, where you went, blah, blah, blah. That was a different setup. But with TV and technology and free agency and all these big, huge deals, now it's a different game.
Now, in today's world, there is no development. That's free agency kind of creates that, in a sense, because there's no loyalty from player to player. I think that's what makes a great player and somewhat a legend in a sense. Because when you know that you can always go back to your team and you're working to be better, and you know that you really have no fear necessarily of being cut. Like in today's world, it's like if you say the wrong word, you cut. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So I think the word legend comes from time. When you have time to develop and you have coaches that are going to love you because you're going to be here.
Since you asked me, I think I could easily play today because I do a lot of football camps and I train a lot of athletes, and I think for as my talent and what I brought to the table, I don't see these kids doing. I benched 360 pounds and could run a 4.2 and could block, and I was a complete receiver back in the day. Where when I first went to college, the first thing we did was learn how to block. So I see guys now is not blocking and not being a complete receiver. So I think I could easily be a receiver today in today's game.
Cliff, could you be playing today?
Oh, yeah. I would be happy to be playing today. Because, like I say, I came to the league back in 1980. And back then, when they said 2 days, it meant 2 days. You practice 4 passes twice a day, 6 days a week, for 6 weeks. And now, when they say 2 days, that means you go out in the morning in shorts, and then you go out in the morning and go out in the evening and pass. Then the next 2 days you just pass only, and you practice it once a day. And I think I played 13 years. I might have been able to squeeze a few more years out with the way they practice it now. But it's a good thing too, because now the guys are, like I said, we was practicing twice a day. We was hitting morning practice and evening practice, and it took a toll on a lot of people. I think it really wore the bodies down back then, to where now the young guys and stuff, they're not taking all these massive and brutal hits during the week, kind of save themselves for the game. But I would have loved to play in the game today because, like I say, it would have been nice to be fresh on Sundays. Now I'll be up during the week and be able to really come and give up your full potential on Sundays.
It's exactly what he just said. Development.
Yeah.
You can be big, you can be strong, you can be fast. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get hurt at the end of the day. But and that's why he could come. You talk about them playing in today's league. I think they would do really good because skill set is more important than physical attributes.
Yeah,
you can be strong, but I've seen smaller guys have the skill set to beat you. It wins every time.
Right, and his son, for example, I mean, he's not a huge man. But he's able to make cuts and moves and dodge a lot of hits. Also, the technology for the fields are much more conducive to moving, cutting. Back we played on artificial turf. You fall and hit that turf, you're gonna be scratched and bruised. And sometimes if your head hit that turf, you automatically gonna have a concussion. So the shock absorbency of the football field is completely different now. I think with the technology, with the pads, and they got a pad now, you can have a contact, and what it does, it'll reflect that initial hit back out because of the way that pad is made now with the different technology that they have.
On the inside, like from the outside looking in, it does look like an individual thing, but on the inside, I'm speaking from a running back standpoint. I love my offensive linemen, and especially my college offensive linemen. I would do anything for them. I think that is what makes them sacrifice their bodies for you.
But how do they feel knowing you're getting all the credit? From
They
the
feel.
fans?
I guarantee you, when I score a touchdown, they feel like they've scored one.
And you learn that from an early age. It's a team concept, meaning that if we in this together, and at the end of the day, everybody gonna get the same pat on the back for the success that they have accomplished on the football field, and that's the way the game, was embedded in our head from day one. But I guarantee you, the relatives of that player is looking at that player on that field. That's the uniqueness about it. Because now you got a guy wearing number 66 and number 72 up in the stand because I'm related to you, I'm kin to you, you are my fan. And even when a player go to a school and they pull him up and he might have been playing 5 years and no stats, but he come in and talk to the kids about overcoming obstacles and goals, and I played this offensive lineman, and you don't know that much about me, but at the end of the day, when he leave that school, he had a big fan base at that particular school. Well, I played for Bill Parcells, and Belichick was there, and what I like about Coach Bill Belichick in this current time now, he definitely was a student of the game. He grew up from day one, growing and watching and learning, and he would always walk around the locker room with his pad. But there's so many great coaches. You got Coach Vince Lombardi. I was drafted by Coach Bart Starr, and so I was able to hear all these different stories of these different coaches. And but I just like right now there's a lot of great coaches out there that have really affected the game and made the game what it is today.
It was 1990. I'd been in the league about 10 years. I had just left the Colts and was playing with Miami Dolphins. And this was the first time I've come back I played in Indy for 8 years. Coming back to play them as a star linebacker for the Miami Dolphins. Ball was on like the 2 or 3 yard line. On the Colts, we had them backed up on that 2 yard line. For me, the quarterback missed out the ball bounces around, they pick it up and for a touchdown. It's so team. So that for me, that was my moment right there.
Oh yeah. So I played offensive lineman in my career. We touched on this earlier about that position is the less glory position, and it's sort of forced to be team focused and team minded. So I would say by early in my career, I was signed on in Dallas, as a defensive lineman, but I was converted into an offensive lineman in my career. So by the second year, I ended up working my way into the starting position, and with my offensive line team-minded approach, that year, the offensive line blocked for Emmitt Smith in his obtaining the NFL rushing leader that year. So I thought that was a pretty cool accomplishment for him, obviously, but it was awesome just taking part in that and being a part of that situation.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That is
Yeah, that's strong.
I don't want to even follow that. I mean,
Wow.
talking about the leading rusher in the NFL, he helped make that happen. I would say my best moment is my first play, pretty much kind of start against the Giants was a touchdown. It was like a 40, 50-yard touchdown, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And just like running, it's like slow motion, right? And I'm looking at the guys. I'm looking at Webster from LSU. We're kind of the same. He's chasing me, and I'm looking at the other guys all down. I'm running by them. And I'm like, this is not that hard. It's not that hard. No, but that's my my moment was that first run, and then the preparation before, which is amazing because, going into Philly was like pretty tough because the West Coast offense is probably one of the most difficult offenses to learn as a rookie coming in because it's really complex. You have to do, especially at the running back position, you have to do so many different things. You're almost kind of like a mini quarterback in a sense. And
As a dad, best play for you.
Wow. It's continual. I mean, he's playing now. I see him now. This year has been amazing. The whole year has been amazing. Seeing him be a starter for the first time after 7 years, becoming that starter, becoming that guy, seeing him perform the way I've seen him do it from Little League to now, and given the opportunity and being able to maximize the opportunity is continual for me because he is now still. I know how to grab every moment because every moment that he's allowed to do what he's blessed to do is the moment for me. So it's continual.
I guess that got to be a beautiful thing to see your son.
Oh,
Because I have a 3-year-old son. To see your son do something great like this,
it's amazing.
And I know his son very well because we were in the league at the same time. As he's grown up through this, to see him get the opportunity.
Yeah, it's
to
amazing.
be a starter. Every guy wants to get that. I mean, at some point wants to be
And a
that
Pro
guy.
Bowler.
And a Pro Bowler.
On top
and
of it.
probably gonna get another one.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was scoring my first touchdown in the NFL against Lester Hayes, who I admired as one of the best defensive backs. And then secondly, scoring the touchdown against the Cowboys because I grew up wanting to be a Cowboy. And then scoring another touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles, being Phil Simms' first game that he ever threw for over 400 yards. I had 167 yards of that. So those were some good moments for me. I mean, I had a little breakthrough that time frame.
For me, I say I had a 13-year career.
But you had it your whole life.
Yeah.
Now it's over.
It's over. I just remember it was in as a matter of fact, it was in December of '93, playing the last game in Miami. I knew this was going to be my last game. I knew I was going to retire, and it was a hard moment because walking off the field, realizing this is going to be this is it. This is the last time. I mean, during my career, I've been cut four times through my career, and this time to be able to walk away from it on my own terms, knowing that hey, this is my decision. I remember walking off the field, and my wife was up in the stands, and I remember getting my oldest son and bringing him down on the field after everybody went in, and just kind of for about just maybe 4 or 5 minutes, just kind of having him run around on the field and me in my uniform and stuff, and just kind of take that one moment to realize, hey, this is it. This is it, man. it was surreal, man. You know, knowing that hey, I won't do this ever again.
Wow, yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's like the picture perfect.
Yeah, that's
ending.
powerful.
Yeah. All I can say is in the statement is just a process. Definitely didn't make it there in one fell swoop. And the journey out, you know, has been a process. So there's a physical separation, there's a mental separation, but you know, we're athletes our whole lives, so we still have those dreams. We dream in football, you know?
Right.
So yeah, it's just a process. It's just a process. Yeah.
Mine is similar to his. Is I've always had another dream, entertainment and development. So when I came into the league, I was actually thinking about both at the same time, because when I walked through being artistic, when I walked through the stadium tunnel, I realized, like, wow, look at this game. I reflect back to when it was just like guys out there throwing the ball around, you know, and then look at it now. It's like this big machine, and I am a part of building those blocks. Moving on, I think we'll continue to do that. So I think I'm still in my process of not letting it go, but enjoying it again. You know, because it's hard because we're competitive. And we are always going to think we can still do it. But yeah, I think it's man, your ending is beautiful. I think when you can make a decision to end this thing on your own terms, similar to Barry, end it when you want to end it. Is because all of us, we don't get to do that. We sometimes it just kind of ends.
Yeah.
They don't tell you it's over.
Or you're told it's over.
Well, nobody ever tells you it's over.
Yeah.
You just continue to go until you stop getting the attention that you wanted to get. So, yeah.
But for me, I still dream. Every now and then I dream that I'm still playing, and so reliving those moments. But for me, you know, talking and doing football camps with current players as well today. But when I walked away happy knowing that my little boy dream did come true. I had my shining moment, and I just thank God for He's still putting me in the realm and the comfort of other guys to hear my story. Not only that, but to share a story. And so I'm just happy that football has still been a piece of my life, a part of my life. But you have to one day know that you use the game, not let the game use you.
Yes.
So
that's good.
So that's kind of what I was just enjoying the moment. Like right now, we over here because we had a big part in football.